to the pm12e project. What does that mean? It means that there is a Pali-Myanmar dictionary, and we're translating that to English. So PM is Pali to Myanmar, 2 is the number 2, and E is English, pm12e. So that's the code name for it. Eventually, it will be called the Ultimate Pali Dictionary to go along with the Ultimate Pali Reader software package. This will be an open source project, and it will be available for other projects that exist for the Pali language. And eventually it will be converted to other languages, as English is a universal language for the international community, and the translations are quite good for English to German and English to other common languages. They're getting that straight. We have the dictionary that is an abridged version of the Pali-Myanmar Abhidan dictionary. This is a 21-volume set that has been published by the Myanmar Ministry of Religious Affairs. Right now, there's 153,000 words in this abridged version of this dictionary. And we are typing some other words as well, and we expect it to be about 168,000 words. To give you some type of magnitude of how important this dictionary is, it is best to tell you about the current dictionaries that we have for Pali and English. So they're very lacking, and they've been that way for 50 to 100 years now. The first dictionary ever made, and that has not really been improved so much, is the PTS Pali English Dictionary. That has about 16,000 words. That's 1/6 and 1,000, so 16,000 words. And the CPED, the Concise Pali English Dictionary, which is a very brief dictionary, just has a couple of words for each definition. That's 22,000 words. So we take 22,000 words versus 168,000 words, and you can see that there's an order of magnitude for the size of this project and for the benefit for the end result of this project. What will this be used for? Well, it will be used for Pali reading software, which will connect the user to the definitions automatically when they click on a word, but it'll also be used for translators, hopefully, who will translate the commentaries and the sub-commentaries. Right now, there's very little in the commentary and sub-commentaries that are translated. I think there's 0 sub-commentaries which are translated, and pretty much the only commentaries that have been translated were done 60 years ago and very limited in the Dhammapada Tathagata and the Jataka Tathagata, as well as the Visuddhimagga. And pretty much that has been all that's ever been translated in the commentary world. There has been one Vinaya text that has been translated, that has been recently released by the Pali Text Society, and there's just not much there. And actually, because it's not translated, there's a lot of negative sentiment to the commentaries, sub-commentaries, and the Abhidhamma, and it's spreading through the international and English community, started by the English-speaking monks. So this is a big problem. And the only way to solve this problem is to make dictionaries available and to let people translate the text. There's actually an AI project, an artificial intelligence project. I'm sure they'll be using this dictionary for their artificial intelligence translator. There's some other projects, Digital Pali Reader, maybe even Sutta Central will use it, but they're a website that's actually pretty much against the commentaries, although they'll never say that in the Abhidhamma. So we hope that this can help with the translations. Currently, the method that is done is to take the base words that are found in the compound words and to try to make a meaning out of it. So there's the words in the commentaries are very long. They're made up of 2, 3, 4, 5 different words, sometimes more. And one has to find those words and break them up and then try to understand what the meaning is. But the problem is sometimes it's a word in of itself rather than a word of two words that are added together. Let me give you an example in English to show you the problem. So if we take the word understand, if we look at that word, we can see that there's two words inside it, under and stand. And so a lot of times what happens is they try to, let's suppose that compound is not defined. And with only 16,000 words in the dictionaries, chances are it might not be defined. But under might be defined and stand might be defined. And because of that, people will think that this word means to stand underneath something. Understand, to stand underneath something. Has nothing to do with knowing or understanding. So it might be useful for a car mechanic, but it's not very useful at all for the real meaning of the word. But sometimes we have some words like tabletop or hardwood floors. So we can see that hardwood is a wood that's hard. We can understand a lot of the meaning because of this, but there's a lot of room for misunderstanding. And this really came through with Venerable Silananda, Sayadaw U Silananda, who went over the Visuddhimagga translation in English that exists right now, and he went over it with a fine-tooth comb, and he made his comments on it. And all the time in the sub-commentary, there were so many mistakes that were made by taking literal translations on words that just didn't mean that, or maybe even breaking up the words wrong. And so there's a lot of problems that exist. And when we have a dictionary of 168,000 words, and let me tell you that all the root text, all of the commentary text, and all of the sub-commentary text, in total, it's about 950,000 words, nearly 1,000,000 words. But you have to understand that each word has so many different forms to it. So it's probably likely that nearly every word will have a definition with this 168,000 words. And this will just be so incredible to have. It'll be such a wonderful resource. And it will be posted on the internet. It will be made available for free. And so we're hoping that we can get as many volunteers as possible to help with this long-term project. It's with the software that we have, the online software that we have, we can take up to, there is no limit to how many volunteers we can take, and there's no requirement of how much work you need to do, although we would like you to work on a daily basis. If that's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes per day, that's fine. But you don't have to work on a daily basis. But I noticed that if you work on a daily basis, it's easy to do, and you get a habit. It's good for your kamma. It's good for production because it's slow and steady, and that will end up being the biggest producer rather than just 1 day a week or something like that, and you'll lose the habit. And so we're hoping to get daily daily helpers. So if you just touch it one day, you can, on the weekend, maybe you could do an hour or 2 hours at a time. But if you can just touch it 5 minutes per day, actually, this will be really good so that you stay connected. And we have the software that keeps track of everything, saves everything as you're doing it, and it can help us with allocating the words to the right type of people. So there's a lot of archaic words, old-fashioned words, sort of like Old English, and it takes a certain skill to be able to define these. So if you can't figure out what this means, just quickly just check it off and send it to the archaic Myanmar specialist and work on the words that you can. And a lot of the words are actually translated by Google. They're about 55% will be correct and might need a little modification, but should be fairly easy. Another 10%, 10 or 15% is doable with some thought. And then the rest you just sort of send to the archaic specialist. And we're trying to get quite a few monks to do this. We also have the ability to have Myanmar-only people work on this by simplifying the complex Myanmar language that might exist in about 30% of the words. So we have many different levels of the ways people can work. And the general pool will be doing a lot of the sorting. They'll mark something as difficult, and then the people who speak only Myanmar, who can read these words, they can go ahead and grab them and simplify the Myanmar, and then it will go back into the general pool again for a regular translator. And there's no real Pali knowledge necessary. And then there's the specialists who speak English directly, and they will translate these words directly from the archaic Myanmar into English. And sometimes these people are monastics. Often they are monastics, and they will sometimes skip a step and just go directly from Pali to Myanmar. Even a Tipitaka Dara Sayadaw said that some of the language is just not efficient, and it's better just to translate directly from the Pali. So we're allowing that, especially for Tipitaka Dara, and also it's allowed for the Dhammalankara and the Dhammasarya monks to be able, these are degreed monks, to be able to do. And so we have many different levels, and we also have a medium level as well. People who want to take some of the words that might take some thought to do. And so the general user, which would probably be you, would end up doing a lot of the sorting. They would check things off. They have a confidence level. It's a very big project. We expect it to take close to a year, depending on how many workers we can get. We're planning on about a year. Right now there's 7,200 words already approved, and we have 8,000 words sorted. So you can see that there's a little bit of a lag between the difficult words and the ones that are approved, but both sides are working at a steady pace, and we think we can do it in a year, especially if we pick up some more volunteers. So we hope you can do this. It's a wonderful opportunity to make some merit. I'm just a project leader. I'm not doing much, but I'm managing the people and the programmer, and just trying to connect everything together so that we can get this project done. I just came up with the idea, actually. And so that's what my role is, and I hope that you can come and join our project. So sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.